What's up, guys? In this video I'm going to show you guys 5 different endgame techniques that are really going to help you guys out in the endgame. Even me, I really didn't know what was going on in the endgame until I was like 24, 2300. I knew the basics, but I was still really bad at the endgame. So these last couple months, years, I've really been working on it. And in this video, I'm going to go through 5 different techniques that'll really help you out. But before I get into that, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more great chess videos. So let's take this position. Rook and pawn endgame. Black just played rook d2 attacking this pawn. Now you could go rook c1, but that's what I call passive defense. The rook is really bad on c1. It's just sitting behind a pawn. That's not what a rook wants to do. So instead, he attacks this pawn. We're going to go rook e7 and attack his pawns. And if he takes here, we can take here and support our pawn. So this is active defense, and this is something that you want to use not just in the endgame, but in all the phases of chess. So let's take this next position, for example. And the bigger idea here that's very important is, yes, you want to actively defend, but you also want to get a queen. So the biggest goal in the endgame, the way to win, is promote a pawn and get another queen. If you do that, remember, there's not many pieces. So if a queen just pops up out of nowhere, man, she's going to have a field day on the board. So here, he's attacking this pawn on g2. This pawn on g2. So we could go king e2 and try to hold the fort over here, but he's just going to take, and then he's just going to roll the pass pawn down. And the key here for white is we need to push these pawns over here. So we're going to go b4, c5, b5, c6, and with a 3-on-2, we will guarantee getting a pass pawn, and it's going to be this c pawn. So c5, b4, b5. If he goes a6, you just throw in a4. So don't just sit here and try to defend. Make your pass pawn and go, and that's how you're going to win this position. So the next position, we have a bishop and pawn endgame. Right now, black is down a pawn, but the key here is white has a light square bishop, and the final queening square is a dark square. So what we can do here is play bishop takes h3. He takes, and then just move your king to the corner. Because remember, even if he takes this pawn, it's still a draw. Because king versus pawn, bishop, king, as long as it's an h pawn, it's the wrong color, is always a draw. You just keep your king here and go back and forth. There's nothing he can really do. The last position of active defense is this. We have this rook versus queen endgame. Black is very much in control here, except white has a very active move that will help him defend and survive this position. So if we just move our king or rook, it's just a matter of time. But if we go rook e3 check, remember, he has to take. If he moves his king, we just take his queen. So rook here check, queen takes, that is going to be stalemate. The queen takes away all the squares with the king, and white will escape with a draw. So the next position the next strategy that I'm going to show you guys is called cutting off the king. So we have this rook pawn king. We're trying to queen this pawn. Now, if he gets his king under, and also if you're black or on the other side of this, always get your king under. If you can get your king under, then you're good to go. It's a draw. So what white's going to do here is, instead of moving his king and pushing this pawn, we're going to go rook to g1 and cut off this king. Now with the rook here, the king can never get to this side. He could try to trade rooks, but if he trades rooks on this file, we're just going to easily queen this pawn, and white's going to be winning either way. So rook g1, cut off his king, and white will go on to win this endgame. So this one, same kind of idea. We have a rook versus pawn endgame, and everyone, at least all the beginners, see these and think, I'm up a rook, it's an easy win. But these, a lot of times, are not easy wins, and even more, a lot of times they are actually draws. So the key here is you want to get your king under, and he wants to block you away. But here we don't have to, because we can cut off his king. If we go rook here, rook to d5, remember, his king is stuck past this rank. So this pawn's all by himself. If he does nothing, our king just comes under. We take everything. So rook d5, push. We bring our king. He pushes again. We bring our king. He pushes. And now with the pawn here and the king here, we can just go rook here, king here, rook here, and come and take. There's a great game. It's like a Title Tuesday or some kind of online tournament game between, I think Andrew Tang was white and Grishuk was black, or the colors reversed. And this is exactly what Grishik did to him to win that endgame. So you cut off his king, keep him back here, let him push, and then just come back here and collect the pawn. So this is another example of cutting off the king. Okay, now the next example, very, very important. You're going to see this all the time. You're going to hear this all the time. A lot of times you're not going to know what they're talking about. Opposition. And there's different types of opposition. So this position, let's take for example, the kings are face to face. If it's black to move here, it's a win for white. So if black goes here, we go push. King here, and then we queen, and we're going to win that endgame. If it's white to move here, it's a draw. Because pawn push check, king here, and then king here. And with the kings kind of, well, actually, that's just stalemate. So we don't even have to worry about what's going on there. It's just stalemate. So when the kings are face to face, whoever's move it is generally is on the wrong side. Remember, if it's black to move, he loses. If it's white to move, then he draws. Okay, so now this position. This one, it seems like black is going to win. Because if we go king c3, he goes king e3, and then our king moves somewhere, and he takes the pawn. But remember, as long as we can get the kings to face, and it's his turn, we have a draw. So all we have to do in this position is go king d1. King d1, and once he takes on d4, we go king d2 and get opposition. And now we just follow him wherever he goes, and it's a draw. So don't try to hold on to this pawn. If you go king c3, king e3, and never go to the left or the right of the pawn. You always got to stay in front of it. If you try to run away over here, he's just going to queen, and it's just a matter of time. So the key for this position is just king d1, king takes pawn, and then just king d2, go face to face. Okay, so this one is a pretty good one to know. So if we go king e5, he's going to go king c4. So king here. Now our king has to move, and then he takes the pawn. So the key here for white is to go king to e6. So king e6 attacks this pawn. He has to go king c4, and then we go king e5, and we're going to go ahead and win the pawn. So king c4, sorry, king e6, king c4, king e5. Now he's got to move off. Then we take, and then we're going to go roll this pawn down. And the last example of opposition, I actually think this is from a Title Tuesday as well. I remember Dubov was commenting on it. So the key here is long distance opposition. So if we go king f4, he goes king f6, and he gets opposition. And he's going to just muscle us out of the way. So here we go king to e2. So you can see it's kind of like a mirror. So king e2, now if he goes up, we go up. If he goes this way, we go this way. And as long as we keep facing the king, this will be a draw. So king e2 is the key here. And king here, we go king here. You basically just keep mirroring him until he has to do something, and he can't break through here. Now, if you go like king f4 here, he goes king f6, and he has opposition. And he's going to slowly push you back. All right, so the next example that we're going to talk about is outside pass pawns. And this one is very, very important as well. So here, it's equal pawns, 4, 4. But the key is white has one pawn on the outside. So what I'm going to do with this outside pass pawn is distract you. So I'm going to go push. And you're going to have to go chase this pawn down. Otherwise, I just push, and queen. At some point, you're going to have to come this way and take this pawn. And I'm going to take and then come this way and take all these pawns. So very important decoy, this outside pass pawn. And what makes it great is it's so far away from everything else that he has to spend so much time stopping it, where you have all that time to come here and just have a party with all his pawns. So this one, another example of outside pass pawn. So obviously it's not happening over here. We have a 3-on-3. So this is where the action is. So what we do here is go f takes g5. He goes h takes, and then we push. Remember, so pawn takes, he has to take, otherwise we take. So pawn takes, and then just push. Okay, so next example. Here, the big idea, and this kind of goes with all of it, is remember, you got to promote a pawn. You got to do whatever it takes to promote a pawn before he does. If you can do that, you will win the endgame. So here what we do is pawn push, he takes. We go pawn push, he takes, and then we push, and make a queen. So even if it means sacrificing a pawn or two, if you can queen before him, your queen will come here and take all his pawns. Don't worry about, oh, I see, I gave up 2 pawns to get this queen. No, this queen is going to take everything. Probably with check too, which you'll see a lot. So remember, the goal is promote a pawn. So push, take, push, take, push. Okay, next example. So here, this is kind of a combination of promote a pawn and outside pass pawn. So where are we going to find a pass pawn? We could go f5, e6, but see, when you push in the center, it's a little bit easy for him to stop it because his pieces can all come around and kind of like save the day. So here the key is the outside pass pawn. So we're going to go h4, h5, h6, h7, and queen. So here this looks like a just normal position, but this is just completely winning for white. Just h4, h5, take, and just keep rolling it down, and you'll at least win a piece from the whole ordeal. Okay, this one's one that I really like, because it's all about I gotta promote a pawn. So if you go like king here, I'll just go like king here. You take, I take, and I don't think anyone's winning there. Maybe even black has the better chances. But remember, your goal is to promote a pawn. So we go b5. He takes, otherwise we're going to take and push. So b5 he takes, and now we push. Boom, 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 and we queen. So b5 take, and then push your pawn. Remember, pass pawns are key. Okay, and I think the last big strategy that I'm going to show you guys is trading off. So in the end game, if you're up material, like 99% of the time, you should be trading. Because in the middle game, there's still a lot of things going on. In the end game, there's not much. So if you're up a lot, because that's kind of all that's there. So here, white to play, what we're going to do in this position is if we try to keep checking him, nothing's going to happen. He'll keep moving. It'll probably end up being a draw. So here we go. Queen here check. Checking the king, but also attacking the queen. He has to take, otherwise you take his queen, and then pawn takes, and then just push, push, push. So trading off. Another example is here we go. Queen e5 check. Queen takes, king takes, and then push, 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 push. So, I mean, these examples only have kings and queens, but you're going to see with bishops, rooks. In the endgame, when you're up, try to trade off. So in the comments, I'm going to put like a summary of what you want to do in the endgame. Hope you guys enjoy this strategy. It's going to help you guys a lot in your endgames. Really start thinking about these things because, I mean, I run tournaments every other weekend, and I see endgames botched all the time. Remember, activity, active defense, pass pawns, all that kind of stuff. That's going to help you a lot. So hope you guys enjoy this video and hope you guys are entertained.